Congress. On Friday, the House passed the Government Shutdown Prevention Act. It says that if a budget isn't passed and the government is forced to shut down, members of Congress and the president himself will not be paid. Republicans pass it. Democrats called it an April Fool's joke. Joining me now is the freshman congressman who wrote the bill, my good friend, Arkansas Republican Steve Womack. Steve, welcome. Delighted to have you here, and congratulations on a bill that I think a lot of Americans really, really like. What made you think about passing a bill like this? It says, government, if you don't get things working, you don't get paid.
I think it's one of the principles of America that if you can't do your job, you shouldn't be paid for it. But in a word, Governor, it's frustration. And my colleagues and I have grown just profoundly frustrated over the fact that we have just time and time again passed things in our side of the chamber and sent it over to the Senate without action. And so it's been over 40 days since we passed H.R. 1 that funds government for the rest of this year and has what we believe is a token amount of cuts to answer the pledge that we've made to Americans that puts America back on a better fiscal path. And the response we get from the Senate is not interested, no action. So the purpose of this bill is to, shall we say, turn up the heat a little bit, set the clock in motion, and hopefully the Senate will agree that time is of the essence and time is running out and we need to act.
You know, Congressman, the Republicans' $61 billion of cuts isn't exactly bold. I mean, it's better than the $6 billion that the Democrats have proposed. But $6 billion that the other party says is all they can afford is the equivalent of cutting off a toenail and saying, I'm going on a diet and losing weight. I mean, there's no real significance. It's less than 1%. Why are the Democrats so reluctant to do anything serious about the deficit and the debt?
Well, you know, you'd have to ask them. But as I said on the House floor yesterday, that the annualized cuts that we proposed in H.R. 1 amount to about 1/16th, Governor, of the deficit. And everybody knows, and it was the electorate spoke loud and clear last November, that they expect that this Congress to come here and transform the way this institution works. And cutting spending is part and parcel to putting us back on a better fiscal path. So we took action on February the 19th. We pulled an all-nighter. We laid the entire federal government out at the feet of the American people through their elected representatives, and we passed those cuts. And we'd like to see the Senate act. And what's really unfortunate right now, Governor, is that we're already well into the third quarter of fiscal 2011, and we still do not have our government funded through the end of this year. And we've got some major issues looming on the horizon that we need to turn our attention to, and it's hard to do that when you're trying to fund government for the remainder of this fiscal year.
You know, Congressman, I heard about your bill. I thought it was terrific. I thought it was a great way to sort of say, if we don't do the job we're sent here to do, and one of the constitutional duties is to pass a budget, and I agree with you. If you don't do it, you shouldn't get paid. Heck, if I don't show up to do this show, I don't think I'm going to get a paycheck. So I'm here. I just want everyone to know I'm here. I'm counting. But I want to, not everybody in your Congress was all that happy about it. We have a little soundbite from your colleague, Steny Hoyer. I want you to listen to it, a reaction from it. Here it is, Steny Hoyer on the floor of the House.
April Fools, America. This is a joke, America. This is not real, America. As a matter of fact, Mr. Woodall of Georgia says it's not real. It's not going to pass the Senate. He made that very clear.
So he says it's an April Fool joke, that it isn't real. Did your colleagues think that it was an April Fool joke, or did they take you seriously?
I think my colleagues thought it was more like the movie portrayed by Bill Murray, Groundhog Day. The bad experiences that were happening over and over again. And that's about what Congress is like right now. This is a bad situation that continues to repeat itself. And, you know, Governor, we can do better than this. We should do better than this. And it is my strong opinion that the American public are losing every time that we fail to take this kind of action. So I'm hoping that we can put the pressure on the Senate and they will agree that we have to act, and we have to act now, and we need to turn our attention to the more important things that face our country.
Congressman, I just want to tell you that I personally am proud of what you've done. I think it's not just a symbolic act, but I believe it's a great way to show the American people that you and your colleagues are serious, that if you don't do your job, you shouldn't get paid, neither should the president. I hope people will call their congressman and mostly their senator thank their congressman and ask their senator to vote for the bill and say, guys, if we don't show up for work, we don't get paid. You don't show up and get your job done, you don't get paid either. Congressman Steve Womack from the 3rd District of Arkansas. Thank you, Steve. Hope
Thank you so much,
continue.
Governor. You're a great friend and a great American, and I've been honored to be on your show tonight.
My pleasure having you. Well, she won a surfing championship and turned pro as